Hey everybody, it is Patrick here, otherwise known as PT. I'm going to talk to you guys about nutrition this week. Amber had a fantastic presentation last week regarding heart rate and cardiovascular training. So this week you're going to learn about the big three, which is fats, proteins, and carbohydrates. Going to learn even a little bit about alcohol and calories. Going to learn practical recommendations for weight gain and weight loss. And then I will go over the challenges for you for this week. All right, let's start off with the nutritional guidelines, the big three: carbohydrates, dietary fats, and proteins. These are three macronutrients that are in our everyday nutrition. So when you are consuming, let's call it your breakfast, and it's eggs, a banana, and a glass of milk. Those eggs are going to be primarily dietary fats and proteins. The banana is going to be primarily carbohydrates. And then the milk's going to be primarily proteins, maybe fats and carbohydrates. Depends on what type of milk you're drinking. So with the detailed definition of each macronutrients, a carbohydrate is defined as any of a large group of organic compounds occurring in foods and living tissues and including sugars, starch, and cellulose. They contain hydrogen and oxygen in the same ratio as water and typically can be broken down to release energy in the body. Sources of carbohydrates typically include potatoes, vegetables, fruits, and breads. Dietary fats. Dietary fats are defined as fat molecules, consist of primarily carbon and hydrogen atoms, and are therefore hydrophobic and are soluble in organic solvents and insoluble in water. Examples include cholesterol, lipids, and triglycerides. If you've done your blood work with your family doctor or whomever you go to, you're probably familiar with cholesterol, lipids, and triglycerides. Fats are typically found in eggs, nuts, fish, avocados, and oils as well. So, dietary fats are extremely important to the diet. Last but not least, proteins. This is defined as any of a class of nitrogenous organic compounds that consist of large molecules composed of one or more long chain of amino acids. People are probably familiar with BCAAs, that is branched chain amino acids. And then proteins are an essential part of all living organisms, especially as structural components of body tissue such as muscle, hair, collagen, enzymes, and antibodies. Again, just like dietary fats, even carbohydrates, proteins are very, very important for our diet, as you'll see and hear as we go along for this presentation. So carbohydrates have 4 calories per gram. If you're consuming 10 grams of carbohydrates, you are consuming 40 calories. Now, there's this thing called dietary fiber. Dietary fiber is a carbohydrate. It also has 4 calories per gram. Fiber is found in foods that contain complex carbohydrates, such as peas, beans, whole grains, and vegetables. Dietary fiber does not affect your blood sugar levels. This helps limit body fat storage or aid in weight loss. That's why if you're trying to lose weight, dietary fiber intake is extremely important. Dietary fats have 9 calories per gram. If you consume 10 grams of dietary fats, you are consuming 90 calories. Now, dietary fats can include trans fats, saturated fats, monosaturated, polysaturated fats. They all include 9 calories per gram regardless of the fat type. Proteins. This is also 4 calories per gram. So if you consume 10 grams of protein, you are consuming 40 calories. Proteins and carbohydrates have the same calorie per gram. Alcohols. All right. So this is 7 calories per gram. So 1 gram of alcohol contains 7 calories if you consume it. Distilled spirits like vodka, rum, whiskey, and gin only contain alcohol, so they have 0 carbs. If you're tracking your carbohydrate intake, vodka is an optimal choice. Calories from alcohol are empty calories. They have no nutritional value. Drinking alcohol also reduces the amount of fat your body burns for energy. So let's say you're trying to lose weight or lose fat. You're always under your calories. You work out multiple times throughout the week. You feel like your calorie consumption is not overboard, but you still have your couple glasses of wine per week. Maybe it's whiskey, beer, whatever it might be. When you're drinking that alcohol, it's reducing the amount of fat your body burns for energy because you have to get rid of the alcohol calories first. It is so-called a toxin for the body. So before it can your body can even bump into the fat stores to burn for energy, it has to get rid of the alcohol first. Now, I'm not saying alcohol is bad at all. I like beer, I like whiskey. However, if you're really trying to lose the extra inches around your waist or the last 5 to 10 pounds, you really need to consider is having the alcoholic beverages worth it for, let's call it 30 days. If you limit the alcohol intake, I guarantee you will see the progress that you desire for your health and fitness goals. Practical recommendations for weight loss. In order to lose weight, you have to have a calorie deficit. This comes from a combination of nutrition, cardiovascular exercise, and resistance training. The $1,000,000 question: can you gain muscle and lose fat at the same time? This depends on the person's training status, program, and nutrition. It can be done, but there needs to be strict parameters when doing so. Weight loss of 1 to 2 pounds, roughly 1% of total body weight, per week is a common guideline. This would be a daily calorie deficit of 500 to 1,000 per day, which is achieved through exercise and nutrition. So think about this. If you're one that tracks your nutrition in like a MyFitnessPal, are you at a deficit of 500 to 1,000 per day? Or are you at a deficit of 2 to 300 per day? If you're really wanting to lose weight, you have to be at that deficit of at least 500 to 1,000 calories per day. All right, if you have not been listening so far, you need to pay attention. Increase protein during calorie restriction. Think about it. If you want to lose weight, maintain muscle, you have to have adequate protein intake. Let's look at the numbers here. During a calorie restriction, it is recommended to maintain or increase daily protein intake of 1.5 to 2 grams per kilogram of body weight, and emphasize resistance training as this combination may attenuate or prevent the loss of fat-free mass and resting metabolic rate. It is encouraged to maintain a diet log for the primary purpose of helping self-identify areas for improvement. One may not realize that they can snack on a soft drink and a cookie every afternoon until they actually log it. Think about the first time you started tracking in like a MyFitnessPal or a food journal, and you went to track your barbecue sauce. Barbecue sauce has a lot of sugars in it, which sugars contain calories. So if you did that, that was probably an eye-opener for you, such as not realizing it from the past. Now, if you don't track those little things like the condiments that you put on your food, you definitely need to do so because they can add up in your calorie intake very quickly. Alright, let's go over some examples for increasing protein during calorie restriction. I'll use myself. I'm about 215 pounds. If I take that converts to 97.5 kilograms. You can see there that I took my 97 kilograms and multiplied by 1.5 and 2. Gives me 146 protein grams per day. If I'm doing 2 grams per kilogram, it's 195 protein grams per day. So let's say I want to lose weight. That means I need to have a calorie deficit. So I'd take my protein and multiply that by the goal weight in kilograms. As you can see, the grams per day change from 146 to 195 range down to 132 to 177 range. That sounds like a lot, and yeah, it can be, but if you really want to lose weight while maintaining or gaining muscle, you need to really increase your protein intake. All right, now I want you to do this for yourself. Take your goal weight or current weight, whichever, divide that by 2.2046. That's your body weight in kilograms. Then multiply by 1.5 and 2, and that is how many protein grams you should be intaking per day. Then, if you are tracking your food calories through MyFitnessPal or a food log, compare the log versus what you should be at. It might surprise you. If you are way below, that's fine. I'm gonna teach you how to increase your protein intake the rest of this presentation. All right, practical recommendations for weight gain. Gaining muscle mass is influenced by many factors. It could be your genetics, your body type, which can be ectomorph, which is like a skinny, lanky person, a mesomorph, which is someone who is right between a bulky and skinny. I'll use myself as an example for a mesomorph. Or a endomorph, who is someone who typically carries the weight more so in their midsection, lower half, typically known as someone who has trouble losing weight. And then most importantly, compliance. If you want to lose weight or gain weight, you need to comply with what you're supposed to be doing. All right, so weight gain. Now, I know many people here listening aren't trying to gain weight. However, if you want to lose weight and have that toned look, you need to gain muscle. So this actually applies as well. So if you are wanting to gain 1 pound of muscle, it requires about 2,500 calories, which can generally be achieved by increasing daily caloric intake by 350 to 700 calories. Calories should be consumed to account for the energy expended during resistance training sessions. So if you're someone that's trying to lose weight, but you are also doing resistance training, you probably need to have a higher protein intake on the day of resistance training or the day after. Protein intake should be increased to 1.5 to 2 grams per kilogram of body weight. Same principle for weight loss. You will find at the end of this and going forward for the rest of the week that you actually need to be consuming more calories through protein, fats, and carbohydrates than what you might think. Protein consumption should be consumed frequently through the day to meet overall daily requirements. Protein should be consumed prior and following a workout along with carbohydrates. Again, these are practical recommendations for weight gain. Meal timing should include whole foods around training to meet these recommendations. Now, just because I'm going over weight gain and mentioning that you might need to be consuming more calories does not mean you have the free-for-all to do whatever with your nutrition. You just have to know that if you want to build, you have to have a little bit more calories, which are primarily from proteins or carbohydrates. All right, overall, protein is the king macronutrient. Regardless if you're wanting to lose weight or gain weight, protein intake is extremely important. Once you have your protein nailed down, you can plug in your carbohydrates and dietary fats. So with all of this being said, we all know nutrition is the hardest part. So let's make this a little bit easier going forward. Learn what you need, when you need it, so then that way you can achieve your health and fitness goals, whether it's losing weight or gaining muscle. 4 things to improve your nutrition today, or at least tomorrow. Log your food daily. If you know where you're at, great. If you don't know how many calories you're consuming, you need to be food logging. If you don't know, you're not giving yourself the best bet in order to achieve your goals. Eat whole foods. Think about Whole30. Fruits, veggies, proteins, whole grains, things like that are whole foods. If you are having more trouble, you need to consult with a nutritionist or dietitian. Those people are licensed to do so, and they're the ones that can give you the proper nutritional guidelines for your needs. Most of all, don't give in to food cravings. Let's do some quick math. If you have one cookie every other day, let's call it 4 days of the week you have a cookie, and that cookie's 200 calories. 4 times 200 is 800 calories. You essentially wiped out an entire day's worth of work to be down between 500 and 1,000 calories for weight loss. So that one cookie or that glass of wine or that those couple chips, they add up over weeks and months. And if you're truly wanting to lose weight or even build muscle, you need to comply with what you really need in order to have that success. All right, I know you're all asking, how many calories do you need? Well, we're going to find out. So, your challenge for this week, there's a link there. It's in the Facebook group. Amber emailed it out as well. PrecisionNutrition.com/nutrition calculator. Go through that form. It's going to ask you questions about your daily lifestyle, your exercise, your nutritional preferences. And what it's going to do is it's going to give you a breakdown of your proteins, fats, and carbohydrates based off of serving sizes of your own fists. Some of you have probably seen this before. Some of you probably have not. This is such an easy way to measure your foods, to know where you need to be on a daily basis. Precision Nutrition works with many huge companies and organizations throughout the world. And I'm going to be honest, you're going to be very shocked by what you see for your results, but don't be scared because the numbers are higher. Our bodies need the energy in order to build quality muscle. If we have quality muscle, we can burn more calories. Ladies, you're not going to bulk up and be huge. Trust me, I promise you that. But if you increase your protein intake, maybe increase your carbs and fat intake, it just depends on the person that's filling the form out and where you're at currently, you're definitely going to see the benefits and you're going to feel better every day. After you download the nutritional layout, it should be 15 to 20 pages. I want you to download MyFitnessPal on your phone. Set up an account and track your calories every day this week. Do not go by MyFitnessPal's recommendations. Honestly, I'm not a huge fan of the way MyFitnessPal works. It has a very low calorie range for people, and if you're wanting to exercise 5 days a week, lose 10 pounds, you need to have the energy in order to put your body through workouts. And with the MyFitnessPal, they typically restrict the calories quite a bit, and it's just based off a general rule of thumb. It's not a personal guideline. After you download the PDF, set up MyFitnessPal, please email me and our group training email. We want to hear your reaction to the precision nutrition recommendations. It's going to scare some of you, but I want you to really ask yourself, were you really where you need to be for your carbohydrates, fats, and proteins? Probably not. I know some of you are consuming proteins that is probably 75% below of what you truly need. If you weigh 200 pounds and you're intaking 50 grams per day, what's that tell you? You need more protein in the diet. So you're eating more, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be bad for you. I know a lot of this can be scary. Nutrition is something that a lot of people struggle with, but I want to leave you all with a real example of somebody that I work with one-to-one here. He asked me to help with him with his nutrition, and so what we did was we found his fats, proteins, and carbohydrates. And when we did, he was like, "Oh man, that's a lot of protein and carbs." But I mean, I'll do what I can to get those grams in. What happened over, I think it was a 2 month span, was he started following the guidelines, and he built great muscle. He felt bigger. His arms felt more toned. He became satisfied with where he was at with his muscle tone and strength. However, he wanted to lose that extra weight. I said, okay, let's look at your macros of the fats, proteins, and carbs. What I did was I took him down, I think it was 20 grams of fats, left the proteins and carbs the same, decreased his fats by 20 grams. If you take 20 times 9, that is 180 calories per day. So 180 times 9 or 7, is 1260 calories per week. Now if you take that by 4, that's over 5,000. So in a month, he should be down probably 2 or 3 pounds of body fat. Now, with that being said, he just started doing that last week, so I can't really give you an awesome testimonial, but I guarantee in a month he will be down some pounds because he kept his proteins and carbohydrates where they need to be for his performance levels. He just lowered the dietary fats in order to lose some extra body fat. If you have any questions, please reach out, fill out this challenge, email us. Look forward to seeing and hearing some of your guys' successes over the next week going forward.